In a world where being pretty isn't the only thing at stake, two brothers in this small town in North Carolina will fight over throwing a rubber ball into a hoop. Too epic? Just wait. They're also surrounded by America's next top models, but don't let their gorgeous looks fool you. These girls have claws.
What?
When I first watched One Tree Hill way back in the day, I actually jumped into it like season 4 or something. Back then, I was a Supernatural fangirl, and One Tree Hill was kind of like the rival show that had fans just as rabid as me. Smallville did too, but it kind of felt like Supernatural and Smallville were on the same team. But a teen drama? Well, that was the mentality back then, because no one could take away from my flagship. But when I finally caught a few episodes, I was pretty much hooked. It was actually pretty good. Sure, it has its cheesy AF moments, and sometimes the ridiculousness of the situation gets out of hand, but the reason why One Tree Hill stood out to me is because of trying to tell good and moral stories. Unlike some other shows where it seemed like being bitches to each other was the entire point. OTH starts out with two brothers from two different worlds. Nathan Scott is the star player of the basketball team and the most popular guy in school. Lucas Scott is an outsider who plays basketball on the river court. Keith, the uncle, secretly, not so secretly, holds an all-consuming love for Karen, who is Lucas's mom. Dan is the father of both boys, but only chooses to recognize Nathan. Peyton is Nathan's girlfriend. She's a cheerleader, but also a tortured mess. Brooke is Peyton's best friend, and ready to bed any guy she has her eye on. Haley is Lucas's best friend, a tutor, and the one with the most traditionally conservative ideas on love, sex, and marriage. In season 1, Keith convinces Lucas to play for the basketball team. Dan, father of both boys, adds extra pressure onto Nathan. Nathan gives Lucas a hard time when he's on the team, and only directly stops when he puts another plan into motion with Operation Haley. He gets Haley to tutor him and spend more time with him, which makes Lucas explode. But vice versa, Lucas is very interested in Nathan's then-girlfriend, Peyton. She's a really guarded person, and it makes it really difficult for him or anyone to get close to her. Brooke is kind of a loose cannon, screwing with everyone at parties, but she finally sobers up after Peyton is drugged at a college party and goes after Lucas for real. Having been rejected from Peyton, Lucas moves on with Brooke. They don't really share that many common interests, but she has a great energy about her that Peyton never did. But when crisis hits with Peyton's dad, an intense situation pushes him and Peyton together behind Brooke's back. Brooke finds out, and any friendship they had between them is ruined. Lucas ends up having a one-night fling with a woman at a bar, which even pushes Peyton away from him. With that, he has effectively switched places with Nathan. During the Peyton-Lucas-Brooke drama, Nathan has been nothing but loyal to Haley because she is the one person he can open up to about his dad. And even though they start out for the wrong reasons, Nathan genuinely connects with her. By the end of the season, the coach has to take off some time for surgery, which leaves Dan in charge of the basketball team. He manipulates the situation to get Lucas to play through his injury, but they still end up losing. Karen had previously gone to Italy for 6 weeks to discover herself. When she came back, Keith proposed to her, but she turned him down. He was ready for a new start, and so was Lucas. So the season ends with them leaving Tree Hill, Nathan solidifying his love for Haley by marrying her, and a letter addressed to both Brooke and Peyton from Lucas. My thoughts. One of the reasons why One Tree Hill is probably the flagship teen drama for me is because it doesn't really play into the typical cliches and tropes of most dramas. In a series with half-brothers, basketballs, and cheerleaders, there's a surprising number of subverted tropes. The half-brothers disliking each other from the start is probably the only one they kept to ground the series in initial conflict. But with the cheerleaders, we start out by following Peyton, who is not the typical squeaky, high-energy person you would expect in a cheerleader. Brooke Davis would be the more stereotypical one. Peyton is artsy, sensitive, and highly defensive. She's a really difficult character to like at the start, but the more we get to know her, the more we see how plagued with sadness she is. Her mother died in a car accident while running a red light, and her father is away on a ship, only coming back once in a blue moon. She's in the popular crowd, yet no one seems to see or hear her except for Lucas. It's pretty apparent that Lucas and Peyton are intended to be the endgame couple of the series because of their profound emotional connection, and the first season illustrated it wonderfully. When Peyton was hurting on the anniversary of her mother's death, Nathan was nowhere to be found, but Lucas willingly got into her car even though she's a danger to herself and those around her. She ran dozens of red lights to prove a point to herself that she runs red lights all the time, but nothing ever happens, while her mother never got such luck. And on the topic of subverted tropes, one would expect Dan and his official family to be absolute monsters to Lucas and Karen. While there is tension between Lucas and Nathan, Deb's relation to Karen is a welcoming one. It would have been very easy to make Deb just as horrible as Dan to scorn Karen at every chance she got. But instead, they had Deb extend the olive branch and even help Karen out with the cafe when she went to Italy. It was nice to see, even back in 2003, the idea of women helping each other out was something to be celebrated. My favorite moments of the season. Even though I feel like the writing and the acting wasn't the strongest in season 1 as it was in later seasons, there was a lot of great moments throughout. The push and pull relationship of Lucas and Peyton may be a bore to some, especially if you are a Brooke and Lucas shipper, but I think the groundwork for one of the best TV romances was put into place here. They take full advantage of the time you get in television to develop the romance, and the ways that Lucas and Peyton seem to complete each other in terms of art and philosophy has rarely been seen in other power couples. The peeling back of the layers of Nathan Scott is also one of One Tree Hill's crowning achievements. At the start, he seems to be an inconsiderate boyfriend / jock / popular guy that gets away with everything because his dad has power over the school and over the town. But the more we learn about Nathan, we realize that he's a victim of his father and the pressures around him. Of course, he has an affinity to basketball that's all his own, but when his father, his coach, his teammates pile on the pressure, he feels compelled to take drugs to up his game. It causes him to collapse on the court, and it becomes a wake-up call for those around him to see what they've contributed to. Another one of my favorite moments is another subversion of tropes, but with a side character this time. Jake Jagielski. He is a teammate to Lucas and a father to a baby girl named Jenny. In most dramas, they would write the hardships of a single mother, but not OTH. They decided to give focus to a single father in high school, which is a story that we don't often see. I love seeing that fathers can be just as protective and sacrificing for their children as mothers are. Having been abandoned by the mother of the child for 9 months, Jake Jagielski becomes very protective of Jenny and won't let Nikki back into her life when she's as unstable as she is. Upon rewatching, I have played devil's advocate too, since Nikki did seem genuine about being in Jenny's life despite being a bitch to Brooke and Peyton. The scene where she bought Jake the ice cream really softened me up to the idea.
She doesn't read. She sure as hell doesn't smoke. Oh, well look, at least you got the most expensive kind of ice cream.
I got that for you. Because on our third date, you said that all you needed for life to be good was a pint of this ice cream. I want your life to be good, Jake. I want to be with that boy that told me those things.
Now, my not-so-favorite moments. Lucas doesn't handle his friendship with Haley very well after she starts dating Nathan. Yes, it's going to be rocky, and yes, I get he's worried about her morphing into someone he won't recognize, but when she put on that cheerleading outfit to help Brooke with the classic, Haley seemed to be really loving what she was doing, and especially the fact that she had never done it before. But Lucas's only response to that was that she looked ridiculous. If my friend said that to me, I'd probably drop kick him out the door. Just saying. Overall, this is the start to a show that has quite a lot of heart for a teen drama, covering things from like broken families, broken friendships, mixed romantic feelings, school pressures, and relationships. The reason I stuck around was, even though it was melodramatic at times, everything that happened had a level of heart and truth into it. It would not have been believable to see Peyton and Brooke reconciling over Lucas after a few days. Something like that would wreck friendships forever, and One Tree Hill takes these occurrences as heavy as they are. Not like others that just need a shopping montage to get over cold-hearted betrayal. Thanks for watching the video. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and write a comment about maybe your favorite moment in the series.